This is Tiva when we first met her back in 2022. Tiva had spent the first 10 or so years of her life living out on the Yakama reservation as a feral horse. She was picked up at an auction with a filly on her side and brought to a boarding barn by an individual who was not taking care of her. A woman at the barn saw this and took her under her wing with the intention of gentling her, but she realized that Tiva was more than she could handle, so she reached out to us. Tiva was terrified of people. She would stand as far away from you as possible and just snort. For the first 3 months, we didn't ask anything of her. We would feed her and water her and go in to clean her pen, but otherwise we didn't really start to work with her until she had time to kind of settle in. And slowly, over time, she started to let down a little bit and grow more comfortable with the idea of just existing around people. When we did start to work with her, she was naturally very sensitive, and she could also get a little bit aggressive when she felt confused. She had a severe changing eyes issue where she didn't want to switch the eye that she was seeing you out of, but you have to figure that she'd spent the first 10 or so years of her life as a wild animal, so that's a ton of self-preservation to unlearn. After months of working with her loose, we had about a 4-hour session that culminated in getting the halter on her for the first time. For all her sensitivity, Tiva was an incredibly fast learner, and each day she would pick up close to where we'd left her the day before, and she was making phenomenal progress very quickly as far as gentling went. Terry had been the one that was spending the most time with her up until that point, but Tiva was quickly getting to the point where she could be caught and handled by more people, so her trust in humans was generalizing, which was really cool to see. Pretty much exactly a year after she arrived at SAFE, we had our vets out to see her for her very first dental, where the vets aged her at around 12 years old. Because she was older and the fact that she had been living wild for the majority of her life, our expectations for Tiva were really just to get her as gentle as possible. We did all the same groundwork with Tiva that we do with all of our horses, regardless of whether or not we're planning to ride them. We ran her through Buck Brannaman's Red Book. We touched her all over with the flag, with ropes. We practiced throwing up saddle pads on her back and went so far as to start practicing throwing the saddle up on her back. And Tiva's understanding and confidence was just growing with each session to the point that we decided in 2023 that we would saddle Tiva for the first time. And because we'd spent so much time, so many hours preparing her for this moment, it was a total non-issue. She more or less acted as though she'd been saddled her entire life, which was amazing to see. Since the saddling had gone so well, we continued with our groundwork, and it was just getting better and better. And so in early 2024, we decided that Tiva would be a riding horse. And for her dragonist beginnings, being terrified of people, Tiva quickly became one of the most gentle riding horses on the property, even despite how green she was. In the round pen, in the arena, out on trails, off property, Tiva went all over. She saw it all, and she took everything in stride. And part of making a horse gentle is making them put up with many shenanigans, which Tiva did tremendously well. She was a fan favorite around the barn just because of how nice she was to be around. She would pose for a photo with you, she would wear a little hat for you, she would tolerate being kissed on the face for you, and we even got to the point where she would follow you around like a little dog. If you hadn't known her when she first arrived at SAFE, you would probably never believe that she was once so afraid of people. In early 2026, Robyn came to SAFE looking for a riding horse, and she met Tiva, and she fell in love, and she took her home. Robyn is the perfect fit for Tiva. She's a confident rider who can help support Tiva's continued growth under saddle, and loves her just as much on the ground. In her new life with Robyn, Tiva hauls out for frequent trail rides, both alone and with buddies. When she's not adventuring around, she enjoys ample pasture and tons of love and affection from Robyn and her partner, John. Tiva's tale really encompasses everything that Safe is about, the total transformation and empowerment of the horse. And we're so excited to follow along with Tiva for the rest of her life as she embarks on this exciting new chapter.